All right, guys, welcome to another episode of Breathesober Transformations. Today, I have with me one of our most incredible members. I'm so excited to introduce to you guys Dr. Sarah Morrissey. She joined us back in March. At the time of recording this, it is now July. So a fair bit of time has passed, and Dr. Sarah is just, once she joined, she never looked back. So today we'll be talking about her success, about what changed in her life, what things were like before. And I hope that all of you guys that are watching are able to feel as inspired as I am and as we are in the Breathesober community. So Dr. Sarah, welcome. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to visit.
Amazing, amazing. So Doc, let's start this with if you could tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do, and who you are.
Yeah, for sure. First off, I'm an integrative health practitioner. I'm also a pharmacist. I also compete professionally in rodeo, breakaway roping, and have just been out there doing better and trying to be the best example I can be. So
amazing. Thank you. Thank you for that. Sounds like a very exciting on-the-go lifestyle that you have.
Very
always,
much so.
always riding around town with trailers and horses in the back. So could you tell us a little bit about what your relationship was like with alcohol before you found Breathesober?
Honestly, I feel like my relationship was no different than most other people's, right? I think the best way that I was able to describe it was your hug at the end of the day. It was like, whether it was happy, sad, and thankfully I used it more as a celebration or a way to go, you got through the day, congratulatory, treat, right?
Yeah.
And for years and years and years and years, I think honestly, once I became when I became a pharmacist and, was adulting, I would have a glass of wine at the end of a 12-hour shift, or I would, it was just part of what I would do. And it just became a habit. It became a ritual, a habit, whatever name you want to give it, it was there.
Yep. It's I find that's for everybody that's watching. I find like everyone's like, yep, I agree, I can relate. We work ourselves into a place in life where alcohol becomes our best friend. So when did you know that this isn't a problem? Or when did you know that this is a problem, and when did you realize that I don't think I can solve this on my own?
I think I'd been, for the last few years even, I'd kind of been changing my what I would drink, right? Because at one time, it didn't matter if it was a cold can of something and somebody was around, it didn't really matter. You always crack open a can, twist off a cap, whatever it took, and cheers, yay, whatever. Then I started being like, well, no, I don't really like that so much. So I'm only going to drink, the things that I enjoyed, right? And it was all about the flavor, along with that treat component of life. And because I have been doing so much as far as eating well, getting rid of the toxic crap in my life, just trying to do all the right things. But that component of, it was twisted teas was my thing. That component stayed with me. And then I was like, you know what? Screw it. I'm learning breath work. I've been doing some meditation, some yoga, doing all the right things. And then when I saw you on a podcast, actually with my current employers, I was like, you know what? This really resonates. This makes sense. And so I reached out, and it's been so much fun.
No, I'm so glad you did. I am so glad that you did reach out. So I guess at the time of when you and I connected, what made you excited about Breathesober? Like, what was it about Breathesober that felt different, where you were like, okay, you know what, this is something different, something new?
Right. Honestly, I think part of it was timing, but the other part of it was because the Breathesober component is just one component. The fact that you can use breath work and you can use all of the tools that you share and that we work on it works in every facet of life. It doesn't just have to do with alcohol. It has to do with daily decisions, daily struggles, big choices that we make in our lives. And so that's why it just made sense.
Oh, that I'm glad you did, because I always say, this is not just about quitting alcohol. That's really just the first step. That's a prerequisite to be able to then change your entire life. And I feel like people who buy into that narrative, such as yourself, and I didn't even have to guide you in that direction. It kind of just happened instinctively, intuitively, right? Like you saw the parallels and you're like, wait a second, I can apply the same thing to this problem and that problem and that problem, and turns out that things are getting better. So fast forward. So you had recognized that you had an unhealthy relationship with alcohol. You saw me on a podcast. You joined the program, and of course, we're here because things worked out really well. What was the exact moment, if you recall, where you realized that, holy shit, this is working? This is actually working.
I feel like I've had a lot of those moments. But yeah, those first couple of weeks I can't really say that it was a hard struggle, but it was to have that confidence and to know that the process of stopping alcohol, the process of learning the breathing, the process of asking yourself the questions of why we have these cravings, that really held me accountable. And so I've been able to use it in my roping. I've been able to use it in a lot of different things in my life. But it was honestly the first thing that made the big change was our letter to alcohol, the breakup letter, right? And that was so powerful. And then, a month or two later, I went to a rodeo, I struggled, and that was kind of the first time I was like, oh, this is where I would normally consume alcohol, and screw it, it'd be fine, right? But instead, I took the tools that you had given me and applied them.
Yep.
And then it was super powerful. And then it was just, and honestly, it's been super easy since then. But I do, I take the time to work on the things, and I take the time to think and process it. So
no, that honestly, that is taking the time to think and process is often one of the root causes of why we always get triggered, trip on that trigger, and fall flat on our faces with with a can in our hand, right? As a figure of speech. And if you are able to conquer the heat of the moment situations like you have been, and to be honest, I feel like most people who find themselves in this situation, if they can master this one thing of just not acting on your emotions in the moment, especially the stressful ones, you win. You come out on top. So now that how long has it been now? I believe it's been about 3 months since you had your last drink, something like that.
I mean, we're pushing 4 months now.
Amazing. So well over 100 days. Then you're just keeping on. What's life like now, 4 months on? If you were to do a before and after comparison, like what is the difference now in your life?
I guess it's different in the fact of I'm not searching for where I'm going to find my next, twisted tea at, right?
Right.
But honestly, and unfortunately, I think I was just so high functioning as a consumer of alcohol, and because I would never just sit and drink, right? Like it was always, you'd crack open that can and, I'd go and do stuff. And so I feel like that hasn't changed. I'm just not, I'm not taking the 30 seconds to go to the fridge anymore, right? So I guess my efficiency is probably getting better. Prioritizing life, and prioritizing more of the good has been very important. But yeah, like, and that's the thing, right? And I guess that's why I feel like my story resonates with a lot of people, in that it's not like we were waking up hungover. It's not like we were, blacking out, getting drunk every night, things like that. it was just a daily habit, right? And so if
Yep.
you're gonna, it's a huge, but it was one of those small sustainable shifts in life that I wanted to make. And
Yeah.
I knew that if I had like your program, these tools, it just makes it so much easier.
Yeah. No,
It's, and then my goal every day is just to be like the funnest sober person, or, like whatever it is. And it's great.
Absolutely. In this program, we work on, there's lots of different tools, not just one. Not breathwork isn't the only tool. There's several others. But specifically, because I know you love the breathing and you're at every class. And what difference has the breathwork specifically made in terms of shifting your focus inward, coming to terms, getting closure, releasing anything you might be holding on to? Because I know that's essentially what needs to happen for us to have that shift. So how did the breathing, specifically the breathwork sequences, the classes, the breathing routines that you learn, how did that impact this journey for you?
Yeah, I think it was because it was nicely, it's been nicely structured. I do look forward to the classes every week, and I honestly, I don't do enough as far as I'm concerned, but I do what I can with what time I have. And so, but it definitely helped me release, I think, just some emotions, right? Just taking that time to be still with yourself, to have the guided breath work, just to keep you on course, keep you grounded, create some new habits, right? And then the habit stacking, which I'd been working on previously, but this was also a habit with great intention. Not just, hey, I need to do better for myself. This is, hey, this is really important. It's going to help evolve and change the trajectory of my life, which I think it has and will continue to do. So that's, I mean, it's just so powerful. And being able to sit with yourself, because I'd had some meditations and some breath works where, those first few weeks you'd have tears rolling down your eye and you don't even know what for, but it's like, I just kept encouraging it just to help release whatever has been stuck, right? And the whole layers of the onion, I'm excited for the next day's breath work to see what else is going to happen, and so our body tells so many stories. We just have to listen.
Yeah, you just said something so powerful, that you're excited to peel the onion even further.
Yeah.
What you're describing is what we all fear the most when we are continuing to drink, because after 5 years of doing this, what I know for a fact is that almost every single time there is something in deep within the onion that is pulling all the strings. And we're just so afraid to even myself, I was so afraid to start digging because I had an idea of what I might find in there, and it's not pretty. So I just kept numbing myself from it, and years passed away, and it was just stagnant. Life was just stagnant. And it wasn't until you start shifting your focus inward and start dealing with all these things. And once you have the first release, you're like, wait a second, this is what I was so afraid of? What? I robbed myself of so many moments of just peace and clarity and like fulfillment and just feeling safe in my body and relaxing and all that. Like, and it's so often such a new feeling, to feel safe and not, not losing your mind a little bit. No, that's all so powerful stuff. I mean, I'll always feel so humbled and so grounded when these stories come about. One thing I wanted to touch on, which is a sensitive topic, so to speak, is the investment, the financial component. Because we work so hard to make our money, to make our living, and when it comes to having to invest in ourselves, where there is no direct return on investment. I put in 10,000 today, 20 years from now, I will have 100,000, right? There's nothing like that. It's about your health. It's about your wellness. So there is a return on investment, just not a monetary one. So speaking in that sense, do you feel that you got an adequate return on the investment you made to join us?
Oh, 1,000%. The return on investment, and like you said, it's an investment in myself, right? Nobody else is going to do it. I have to do it for myself. And the thing of it is that I've been doing bits and pieces of what we do in the Breathesober program. I mean, I'd been doing it, right? And I was like, oh no, this is a better way for me to do it properly, to do it better. And so, yeah, the guidance, the tools, the community, all of those things, to me, you can't really put a price tag on that.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, we
Same.
do. Right? I mean, we do, because that's part of life and the economy and how we do things. But there is no greater investment than what we do what we do as far as investing in ourselves. So, and now is the time, right? There is no better time than now, because we can't worry about what we did yesterday. Tomorrow's not promised. And so if we don't invest in ourselves today, who knows what's going to happen?
Yeah. No.
And
Well.
so,
Very well said. That is right on the money, pun intended.
yeah. And so, but yeah, like if we want to, I had to think about it. I'm like, oh, well, that's, X amount of dollars. Well, but guess what? I probably spent at least that, in other things. And, I've spent a lot more money on a lot less, satisfying things.
Well, here's how the math works, right? Most people will be drinking maybe a bottle of wine a day. On average, right? Bottle to 2 bottles of wine a day. 2 bottles of wine of the cheapest wine, let's go to the lower end, is around $20 a day, give or take.
Right.
And you spend it, here or there. Some days you might not, but then other days you'll go out, you'll spend 40, 6 and a half,
Oh,
a few
especially
drinks.
if you're drinking, especially if you're drinking in social settings.
Yeah, right. So when you add all of that up, most people are averaging anywhere between $300 to $500 every month. If it's $300 every month, it's $3,600 a year. If it's $500 a month, that's $6,000 a year. Think about that. And then year after year after year after year after year, right? Yeah. You wouldn't be in this situation if you hadn't been doing the same pattern for at least a few years, right? Think about that. So when you put it in that perspective, you're making this investment to dramatically change the quality of your day-to-day life. Not 10 years from now, not 5 years from now, right now, right? And you truly have to feel how good it feels to be like, what, shit, man, there's no amount of money that can equate to this feeling. And we all come to that realization. So,
so true.
To wrap this up, Doc, you're in service of other people as well. What is your advice? Let's say you have a friend of yours, somebody you care about, that is saying, man, drinking a lot, things are not so rosy anymore, or even just an acquaintance, what would be your advice to them if somebody was on the fence about joining Breathesober?
Right. Actually, I was just trying to think of this the other day, and I've mentioned it to a few people as well. I think if you're ready, and that's the thing, right? Like, we can't be like, oh, this is going to solve all your problems. It is when you are ready to help yourself. There is no better way to do it. I don't think. That's the community. Once again, I'm going to repeat that all over, because I love being a part of the community, right? Because we've got a common goal. Yeah. So that is so helpful. The positive energy, the fact that nobody is, I remember you explained it, because I've never been to certain, any meetings or anything like that, but I know a lot of people who have, and it's just a whole different mindset with Breathesober. It's digging deeper, finding yourself and rewarding yourself, with the breath of life. Yeah. And that's powerful. And I don't think people understand how powerful we can be as individuals when we have the tools that Breathesober gives us in order to do whatever we want. So I think it's huge.
Talk about a mic drop moment. Thank you. Thank you, Doc. You said something very critical here, which is when you are ready. when you
Yeah.
decide, right? The unfortunate reality is that we hold ourselves back from getting to that place. And the
Oh,
reason
for
why
sure.
we hold ourselves back to getting to that place is because there's fear, fear of the unknown, fear of what might be, which is essentially the fear of unknown.
Mm-hmm.
The fear of, just what your life might be like, how much you will lose because it's so deeply embedded
Right.
into our reality, our personality, our sense of self, right? You mentioned the breakup letter, that is such a powerful exercise because the way I lay it out is I don't want to hear about like how good this is going to be for your wife or your husband. I only care about you, right? Just
Mm-hmm.
focus on you.
Yep.
Um, what I find is when I read those letters, I've read hundreds of them now, hundreds. And the common thing is how it feels like we are letting a person go,
Mm-hmm.
letting a human being that we had this long relationship with. And that is the clear proof that it is so deeply embedded in our sense of self that it feels like we're saying goodbye to somebody we've known our whole life. And that
Right. Well,
thought
that
alone,
and yep.
sorry, go ahead.
And well, and just the society, it's just so normal in society when it's pretty exciting to see the trend that becoming sober is trendy now.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, like this is so awesome. And so and I think I always admired the people that could have so much fun and never drank a drop of alcohol. And I was like, oh, how can I do that? Well, guess what? I'm setting out to be that person. So
Yeah. The key ingredient there is to know your limits, know when it's no longer fun, go
yeah.
have fun. When it's not fun, you go home. Right?
Yeah,
You're not
well, and
there.
it's so much easier to make those choices from a point of this is fun, okay, but you don't have that, oh, I need to stay out, or that fear of missing out and stuff. Because my fear of missing out is my fear of getting my good rest, and my fear of not being able to get up and do my walk in the morning, or do to be super functioning. And so that whole shift, well, I guess it's always been there, but it's just been a stronger shift, and a lot more higher on the priority list than what it used to be. Where alcohol used to be on higher on the priority list, now it's not there at all. And being the best version of myself every day is on the top of the priority list, not alcohol.
I love it. I absolutely love it. Guys, thank you everybody that has been watching this, and thank you, Doc, for being so open with your story, your incredible story of transformation. I'm so glad that our paths crossed, and long may it continue. For anyone who's watching this and you're wondering, wait, I want to know more about how this program works. In the description of this video, you will find a link to the program page that talks about how it all works. On there, there's a link to apply. You apply by booking a call with me. We'll talk. We'll see if this is a good fit. And if it is, I'd love to invite you to the program and see how we can help change your life. Until then, I want to wish all of you guys a enjoyable and happy and fulfilled rest of your day. And we'll see you soon. All right. Thank you very
All right.
much.
Thank you.